And Major League ballpark in the country. And through their adventures, author Jeff Siegel and his son Spence invented a new model for the family vacation and discovered, well, what they call a relation trip. Jeff's joining us this morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
This was, what, 11 years ago, you and your young son, Spencer, started out on just a spur-of-the-moment trip. Tell me about that, what led to all of this.
Well, it started, Steve, as an opportunity to stay close to Spence as a single dad. And as you pointed out, back then it was a couple of sports geeks just getting out there and catching some games, and it evolved into something much, much more than that.
Did you drive?
We flew to a location and then drove hundreds and over the years thousands of miles all across the continent.
And it spawned what you now call the Relation Trip,
right.
a book, wonderful little guidebook
Thank
there
you.
on how to do this. What makes a relation trip different from just a regular old road trip that we all take with our families?
Yeah, a relation trip transforms the common road trip into something much, much more through some planning and research, some creativity, and a whole bunch of time spent together between parents and their kids. And the result is an adventure that starts weeks, sometimes months before you ever hit the road, and it can last weeks and sometimes months after you roll back into your driveway. And the bonding opportunities that comprise that time spent together are just tremendous.
Relation trips have some fairly unique aspects.
They do, and it runs the gamut in terms of the things that you learn together as you experience the open road. I kind of call it the three-way intersection of adventure and excitement and unpredictability that you can only encounter when you're there together, kind of taming that miles and miles of open road.
You've got a list of ideas for anyone who wants to create their own relation trip. One of them is, I don't know if we have time for all of them, but one of them is to sort of customize this trip, so put a brand on it, if you will, right? Make it your own.
It begins by figuring out what the theme is, and that's all about determining a common interest between you and your kids. For Spence and me, obviously it's sports, but it could be anything from drive-in theaters to historical landmarks to doll museums for a little girl and doll houses, really whatever lights a fire under your kid. And from there, it's all about coming up with a logo and a name for the trip and putting it on T-shirts and luggage tags. And
yeah, well, I like this. You actually created a T-shirt for one of your trips, right?
Yeah, that's the trip that we leave on tomorrow, where we complete the 59th and 60th of our NBA and Major League ballparks, and we decided to call this one Siegel LX. In true Super Bowl fashion, that stands for Siegel 60.
That's a great idea. And back then, Spence was how old?
He was 7 when we started. It's been 11 years, and our goal was always to hit all 60 sites before he headed off to college, which he's going to do next month, and we will complete the remaining couple of ballparks in the next couple of weeks.
Good for you. That's a great idea. So some of these other tips, you weave in cultural, non-themed related highlights to broaden each experience.
It's all about discovering the country and figuring out and showing your kid the culture, the food, the sights, the sounds, and that only can happen when you're out there driving across the country.
Now, as I look at your list of ideas, I think my favorite is to simply be flexible. Don't over-plan these. Sort of expect the unexpected.
And get used to it. It's a great teaching opportunity, those teachable moments where your kids can understand that not everything always falls along as it's scheduled, and it's a great way to learn to adapt to what the open road brings about.
And especially in documenting that trip with photographs, maybe a scrapbook, and this T-shirt like this, you know?
Yeah, it's all about the post-trip documentation too, the scrapbooks and the photo albums and all sorts of videos that you create that last a lifetime. And
you've turned it into a book.
I have.
Jeff Siegel, thank you so much. If you missed anything, you can re-watch this segment at WGNTV.com/midday. You've got a website too. Right?
Yes, MyRelationTrips.com. All sorts of information on creating relation trips of your own on the site.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank
we'll
you,
be right
Steve.
back.